We gonna get into it. Let me say what's up to these
Wait,
knuckleheads
hold on.
first
Let
before
me.
I get true.
Point of order. Hitachi. Everyone keeps calling you Tashi and Hitachi. Do you have a preference while we're up here?
No, it's all good. You can say what you want.
Tashi Hitachi. Oh, is that like is that
It's
government name and
Hitachi.
shit?
It's Hitachi because of Naruto.
I'm just
Oh,
telling you
No,
what people are calling
That's what I.
him.
That's how I would take it. Is
Did you
like
just
instead of
describe
Itachi.
his name to anime without checking with them? That's hilarious.
no. It's basically like the backstory is I used to play a game with one of my family members, and my nickname in that game was Hitachi. It's like a super boring story, to be honest.
These founders are very hard to get a hold of. They have very busy schedules and they have very intense protocols. We're going to keep it relatively on topic, but anybody is welcome to come up and there is no question to them. And I'm lying, we'll mock you. We're terrible people. But nonetheless, that's kind of the plan. We're going to stay on point.
facts. Yeah. This whole thing is essentially us laughing at ourselves, but hopefully we learn some shit in the process. You know what I mean? Because I think that's like super, super important. And Hitachi, obviously, like, again, I appreciate you obviously coming through and obviously doing this with us. Give me 1 second because I really want to try and do this. Hey, Lexi, can you read the opening monologue from the DeFi for Dummies space real quick? Absolutely. Here we go. Sweet. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and degens, welcome to DeFi for Dummies. I'm Pi, your AI MC for today's party. Big shout out to our host Dave, our amazing co-hosts, and of course a warm welcome to our special guest from HyperBeat, the one and only Hitachi Yamatomo. Now, don't worry if you're new here. This isn't about charts, jargon, or gatekeeping. We're keeping it simple, fun, and real. Today, we're diving into the world of HyperBeat, the platform that makes your crypto work for you while you sleep. Think of it like a smart piggy bank that auto manages your funds, lending, borrowing, staking, and even balancing risk all on autopilot. Over the next hour, we'll break it down like you've never heard it before. What HyperBeat actually is in plain English, why automation matters in DeFi, how vaults, tranches, and staking APIs really just translate into easy, medium, or spicy mode for your money, and most importantly, how everyday people, yes, even grandma, could one day use this stuff without needing a PhD in crypto. So sit back, hit that repost button, and get ready to learn, laugh, and maybe even see DeFi in a whole new light. Let's get this party started. Okay, Lexi, let's go. Not bad. Not bad. I'm bringing it back, Empress. I don't care what you say. That shit was fire. Like, okay,
Listen, I am
That's
not going to
awesome.
use up this hour. You pivot to the topic right now. Right now.
okay, Hitachi, welcome, welcome. If everybody on stage, shut the fuck up. Hitachi, what's good, bro? Give us an intro. Let everybody know kind of what
What's
the
up?
hell we're
What's
doing
up?
here.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great intro. Actually, I'm psyched. I'm Hitachi, the co-founder of HyperBeat, which is a HyperLiquid native protocol, doing exactly what Empress described.
Empress or the AI? Whatever.
Pretty sure he's saying the AI is Empress.
Yeah. She might be AI. Who knows? All right, Hitachi, can you just give us a quick primer on what is HyperLiquid, the HyperEVM? Because people really don't know how to distinguish the two before we start talking about, yeah, put your money to work here in these vaults and everything else.
So HyperLiquid is, or rather HyperCore and HyperEVM are one shared state. So it's one chain. People refer to it with like three different terms, but it's one chain that operates a dual block architecture and behaves as one composable state. So what that means is you have two chains running at the same time and you can interact with both effectively at the same time, generally with the use of smart contracts. So, like the background is Hyperliquid launched as a perps dex, right? Like we all know it was a perps dex, and it became very, very famous for being the best place to leverage trade in a decentralized way. Now, HyperEVM was a tack on; it came afterwards, which provides greater composability for interacting with the liquidity in the order book. So in a simple way, what that means is like, let's say you want to place a leveraged 50x BTC long, but only through smart contracts, you can now do that. You don't have to do it through like APIs or anything else. You can literally do it on chain, and HyperEVM is the piece that enables that, basically.
I like it. So it's essentially given us a lot greater flexibility to go degen and obviously play on the perps market where we don't need a ton of money. We need $100 to be able to trade $7,500 worth of tokens and whatever the people are putting on there. And I'll say this also, Tashi, I just started using Tater Trader. I don't know if you use it, but they have direct access to the perps on HyperLiquid. It's been fucking amazing, dude. It's been absolutely incredible. I don't know if you're are you integrated with them by any chance, or are you chatting with that team?
I don't think so.
I don't
I think
know.
that needs to change.
It's protocol type thing. I don't know how that they would integrate is my point because it's but you don't have a native token, right, Hitachi? No.
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Well,
Anyways, I was just saying, like, I think you guys should chat because what you guys are offering to be able to have a DeFi solution in like a simple front end UI, like, makes it really, really simple. Because if they're going to start onboarding a ton of people, I think it just makes sense to have like a combo. But talk to us, Hitachi. Tell us exactly first off, where'd you come up with the name HyperBeat? Obviously hyper, but like, why beat HyperBeat?
Yeah, that's a good one. So HyperBeat basically started as a validator, right? And validators are the core of the chain. They're basically like operating at the very center of the chain. So our idea was like heartbeat, hyperbeat, like it sounds kind of similar. To be honest, it was like over 5 minutes. We were just having a beer and we were like, yeah, cool, this sounds good. So that's sort of where it started. And like the previous point you were making, I think that's exactly the sort of role that we play, right? So we build smart contracts that let people interact with Hypercore and have various automated smart contract strategies, but you need that distributed to people in a simplified way. So we try to do that through our UI, but also different user facing dApps, right? Like builder code dApps or whatever else. We do get integrated with them. Effectively, the way it works is like the user doesn't even know that they're on Hyperliquid or Ethereum or whatever. They're just using an app which is earning yield for them. And one of the strategies that they earn yield with is powered by HyperBeat, for example. So yeah, there's a ton of like builder code apps we're integrated with, and it makes sense as well. Like we could do it with anyone. Always down to chat.
wait, Hitachi, that is all the mumbo jumbo that we're here to try to possibly comprehend. Okay, you built out significantly. Like over time, it's layer upon layer upon layer. So this is really brass tacks, but what would be the first thing that you would recommend somebody would do with a hyperbeat? What if it's a very beginner? Because most of the people realize that CT is broke. And so think about like if somebody had $1,000, how they could potentially get into the ecosystem and how they could pivot from there.
Obviously, no financial advice, no recommendations, all of this. It really depends on the person. I think if you've got like a grand, I'm not sure yield farming or long term strategies is really the goal, right? Like typically people are looking for leverage exposure, stuff like that. So,
Wait, Hitachi,
ma-
pretend that they are. We're going on they just got tired of getting wrecked in the trenches. They got a grand and they want to pivot to an easier life thesis.
yeah. So, I mean, I guess like the value proposition of Hyperbeat is that any token in whatever way you denominate it, whether that's like BTC, Hype, stables, whatever it is, you just park it in something akin to a high interest savings account and you just deposit in there and it generates yield for you. You don't need to do anything and it's totally automated. You can, come in and check, okay, I made this much, I made that much, whatever for your spreadsheets. So yeah, those are basically the vaults. So you deposit whatever asset you want to deposit, and then the smart contract basically does various different strategies to generate the best risk adjusted return on your asset. So you don't need to do anything. You literally just click deposit and then you click withdraw when you want to withdraw. And then there's like the question of various different risk appetites and different tranches that comes in afterwards.
Well, let's
So
chill at the vault piece because I think that, like you said, it's kind of a risk appetite thing. So if somebody has a little bit amount of money and maybe they work a full time job or whatever, is it pretty low risk if they just go to the site and they just park that money and they don't have to worry about liquidation or anything like that? And how does that work?
yeah, exactly. So like I mean the vaults basically work in such a way that it's totally hands off, right? So you just deposit and you don't need to handle anything. You don't need to look for liquidation prices or so and so yield has changed and whatever else. Like it just does everything for you. Um, so yeah, any of the vaults and then deciding which vault is basically like, a question of if you're points maxing, if you're real yield maxing. Um, yeah.
Now, do the vaults itself have like a risk management like tab being like, hey, this is high risk, medium, like beginner kind of a thing?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the way that we design every single vault is that it should not at all be at risk of losing money, right? So that's in terms of the strategy deployment. There are a new subset of vaults which we have introduced, which do have a risk of negative yield based on like the strategy that it actually conducts. But the meta vault, so the first thing that you see when you get onto the site, are designed in such a way that there's no inherent risk in the strategy itself, like the execution of the strategy to lose money.
I guess not risk. I was thinking more of like aggressive. Like I guess like I'm trying to correlate it more towards like a 401k, right? Like you have like an aggressive
I
portfolio,
think the
medium, and
best
then
way to ask it is what vaults would you recommend? Again, non financial advice. You're exempt here. It says dummy in the thing. What vault would you recommend for somebody who wants to actually just do that, just park? What's a good strategy for them?
Yeah, I guess if you want stables, then like HBUSDT is the best like risk adjusted return. So HBUSDT, what it does is it takes your stable coins, it runs delta neutral strategies, so it limits market exposure. It was actually the first vault to do that on HyperEVM. So how that works is your stables long something on the spot side with let's say 50% of it, and they short the same asset with 50% of it. So what ends up happening is you're not exposed to the market price, but you just collect the funding yield. And then subsequently what they also do is like provide that those stables into various different lending markets, automating those and optimizing those across wherever the best yield exists. So that exposes you to points and various other things, but actually like real yield, right? So functionally, what's happening is people are borrowing your stables. So you're basically supplying your stables into a lending market, and others are borrowing it and paying you for letting them do so. Yeah, so that's for stables. Then we have similar vaults for BTC. We have a vault for gold that works in the same way, and also for hype. So that's probably like the most hands-off one. If you want like totally no exposure or very limited exposure, obviously to risk, and it's on hype, then you can just stake directly to the node or mint the B hype LST.
Oh, I definitely
Hitachi.
want to know about the LST, but I wanted to let Dave pop in. But also, I figured Dave's not asking as many questions because he's smarter than we are.
No, no. So I said because my thing is like I want to make sure that this is super digestible for everybody listening, right? And I think so far it's been great. But what I heard from you, Hitachi, is this a whales game at the end of the day, right? Like, is this where I know you were like, if somebody has $1,000, maybe it doesn't make sense, but in order to like really utilize this and actually benefit from it, does it make sense for someone with $1,000 like to put this money in? And what I mean by that is I know everybody's financial like profile is totally different, but this is more like put it in here. We're giving you like this white glove service that you would normally get in the TradFi with the TradFi bros, but we're doing it for you all on chain, everything smart contract driven, and we're doing it for you across all of these different like sexy products. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, look, like the $1,000 question is more a question of like what you should do if you have a limited amount of capital and you want to get like the highest returns on it, right? So you need to go further out on the risk curve. So like the whale game question is more like if someone has $1 million or if someone has $1,000, you will still earn the same yield, right? Like the net yield. But it's just if you're earning 10% on 1 million, that's 100K. On 1,000, that's like $100, right? So with $100, you can go you can go to McDonald's a couple of times, maybe a few times. But with 100K, you can buy a you can buy a Porsche. So it's a bit different, right? So that question is more about like portfolio sizing, but yeah, like the strategy works the same for everyone, no matter the size, what you deposit. So this is in more consideration of like fairness and smart contracts, etc. Like everyone, there's no discrimination. It's not like TradFi where if you have $1 million you'll get charged 5% interest, but if you have $1,000 you'll get like double or triple that, right? So there's no like discrimination from that sense, obviously, which is great, which is why we love DeFi. But yeah, the question around like $1,000 or 1 million is more like how far out on the risk curve you're willing to go, and that's more like a portfolio optimization question. But yeah, like with that caveat aside, yes, if you're focused on just not touching anything, you want a white glove service, then yeah, you can just deposit into the vaults, and then you literally don't need to do anything, right? It's a bit akin to the experience that I can think it's most relatable to is like the savings account that you might have in your online banking app. You just transfer something in there, and they're giving you like 1% yield, right? But on the back, they're aggregating like 100 people's $1,000 deposits, and they're making like 5%, but they're only giving you 1%, so they're taking the cut. So the big difference here is like what you see is what you get, right? So regardless of anything else that's happening, you can see on chain where the money is, what it's being used for, and how much yield is being earned, and also how many fees are charged. Like it's all on chain. So that's the advantage.
I think my bull
Um,
case for it too is, and everybody can tell me if my math's wrong because everybody knows I can't math, but I feel like you might still end up with more profit just sitting it and parking it there versus getting rinsed in the trenches and rugged. But I could be wrong.
yeah, I mean, I've been there as well, right? Like I think everyone loves to, maybe not so much on Solana anymore, but everyone loves to like degen in a little bit of meme coins. But yeah, that's definitely not what's happening in the strategy, right? Like you're not aping random memes or trying to see like a cabal cook, see if you can get like a quick 5-10x. What's actually happening is like the stables are, so this is a good question, right? So like, sorry, this is a good way to frame it. So the $1,000, you could go and you could look at Aave, you could look at Morpho, you could look at like all the different opportunities, identify the place where at the moment you're looking at it is the best return, and then you just push it. Then you go to work, maybe you don't check it for like a month, and you realize like the day after you pushed it, the rates changed. So now like Aave wasn't the best place to put it, but Morpho was, and you weren't there in the moment to change it, right? So what the vault basically does is it monitors everything 24/7, and considering execution costs, so like gas, transfer, blah blah whatever, it automatically at the moment that it makes the most sense from a portfolio return maximization perspective to switch from Aave to Morpho, it does it automatically. And you don't need to click any buttons, you don't need to do anything, you don't need to like watch the screen. The vault just does it automatically for you.
Is that like the proprietary like tech behind what you guys are doing? Is that algo that's essentially like managing the money and moving the money around?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I guess so. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. So what functionally happens is like everything is tracked block by block, and then there's various like calculations that happen in the background, and they basically give you like a yes or no answer, right? Is this better than what I'm currently in? If yes, then move the funds, and it moves it automatically. If no, then obviously you stay where you are, right? Because it's the best place. But the value prop is like you don't need to do anything. Think about all of the time that's spent like watching the screens and like, okay, I need to check this, I need to check that. Like it's a lot of work, right? And no one has that time. So that's basically what the vault solve
Bro, they
for.
can't watch. They buy a fucking meme coin before they go to sleep, and they go to sleep. What do you mean? There's zero attention. So this is the best damn thing to happen to Degen since sliced freaking bread, Hitachi. Like they're literally buying meme coins and then going to bed, being like, "Oh, I lost my bag, bro." What do you mean you lost your bag? You went to sleep, Groot.
Yeah, I mean, I'd so like yeah, the value prop like I do have to caveat though, you're not gonna make like, if you deposit $1,000 and you wake up tomorrow, like you're not gonna have like 10K all of a sudden, right? This is like for long-term sustainable returns on the asset you deposit.
Yeah, I
The
mean, I
big
was
boy
gonna
stuff.
say another way that might translate to degens better is if you have $2,000, put 1,000 in to the vault, and then go degen with your 1,000, and then that might hedge your bets a little bit better. Not financial advice, but the other thing I like, Hitachi, is on the vaults and what I've seen on HyperBeat, there isn't minimums, right? Just to further kind of negate that whales game thing. Like you could just go throw a couple hype in and still be earning even if it's just a little bit at a time. If you're planning on being here, like I think a lot of people in the space are in their 20s, right? Set it and forget it. Come back and look when you're 40 or something, you know?
Yeah. I
I don't have
mean,
much
yeah,
time,
like
Empress. I'm getting old.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I
You're
think I
also
think like
loaded.
20 years is like a long-term time scale for sure. But maybe not that
I
long
was
term.
I was
But
being a
yeah, yeah,
little
yeah. I get what
hyperbolic,
you're
just
saying.
a little.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I get what you're saying, right? So it's like, okay, I know for a month I'm not going to be online, like I'm going on holiday, I'm going to go like bike or whatever, and I don't have time to monitor the different cooks. So I've got a grand, I'll just bang it in here. and then let's say it's earning 10%, right? So in a year you'll earn $100, and then 100 over 12 is like what you'll earn for that month. But yeah, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to touch it.
So speaking of
So
like,
like,
oh, sorry, Hitachi, keep going.
no, like I think a good way that the way that I've like explained it to my parents, right, is like inflation is going on all of the time, right? And like that's the incessant need for all of us to try and like break out of this cycle. Like I need to buy a house, I need to do this, but I've only got like a grand or whatever. But even if you don't do anything with it in the moments between when you're making a trade or whatever, like you could be earning a yield on that. The opportunity cost is that inflation is like constant. So if you just park that money into something that's making money for you when you sleep, you're effectively like fighting inflation in a way. That's like a good way that I explained it, at least to my parents.
So when it comes to like parking your funds, that HyperBeat USDT, is that actually utilizing unit by chance?
Yeah, exactly. So actually, most of our vaults do utilize unit assets.
Okay.
The way that that works is like you need to hold the unit asset, but unit assets are tokens, right?
Hmm.
So maybe you don't want to be exposed to the price. So for HPUSDT specifically, what happens is you've got $1,000 in the vault. It buys $500 of like unit BTC, and then it uses $500 to short also. Sorry, it uses like
Wait, I
depends on the
got this. Is
leverage,
that the
right? But
delta neutral piece? Is that what that is?
There it is.
yeah,
Look,
exactly. So
I'm
like
learning.
Correct. That is
Ah,
exactly
the
what that
dummies are
is,
learning out here.
Empress.
Let's fucking go.
yeah, so like you're basically not
Landy, are
exposed to
you
the
proud?
price.
I'm so proud. She got it. She immediately was like, Delta neutral. I know this. It was amazing. I
Yeah,
love it.
exactly. So like the delta neutral thing, and like okay, but you're not making any money, right? Because Bitcoin goes up $10, like you lose $10 on the other side. But what you're actually getting is the interest that leverage traders pay on Hyperliquid. So if you're longing something, you might have seen like the funding thing. Like that is the interest that you're paying to people who are facilitating that for you. And when you have a delta neutral position, you're just collecting that funding. So that's your yield. And net net, your $1,000 hasn't changed, but 1,000 plus the interest that you earn is like your yield. So that part uses unit assets. Our other vaults, which are based on like Bitcoin or anything else, like the Morpho vaults using UETH, they're all using unit assets. So for those of you looking for unit exposure, there's
That's what I was
various
gonna
things to
say.
consider.
Is that part of
Yeah,
the farm for unit? Like
yeah.
farm
I
for
mean, we use unit assets, right? Like I don't have any insider information or anything like that, but yeah, they use unit assets. They continuously swap between unit assets and stables, so you're
Hitachi,
generating
can you just
spot
define
volume.
real quick what a unit asset is?
Yeah, sure. So Bitcoin exists on the Bitcoin network, but for it to exist on other networks, it basically needs to be wrapped, right? So what happens is your Bitcoin is transferred to a specific address, and correspondingly, that the same quote unquote like owner of that address has another address on HyperEVM. So they know that you've parked one BTC there. They can mint you something which is called unit BTC on HyperEVM. So it's basically a wrapper for Bitcoin that exists on the EVM, and they can release that to you so you can transfer it. And because you have that one Bitcoin on the Bitcoin side, it's exactly the same price at all times.
Are
Yeah, I
these
Ah,
wanted to clarify the point. Hold on real quick, Dave. I was clarifying the points piece because there was conversations wondering if the points defaulted to the platform, but you're saying that it's still your trading and so it comes back to you ultimately that activity.
Yeah, of course. I
Okay.
mean, like everything belongs to the users, right? Like
Well, no,
with
that's not known. We're the dummies. We weren't
no, actually,
sure.
like I don't think it's about you so much. Like I think it's more about like insiders who have used the ability to provide this service to extract more info, but sorry, extract more like return for themselves, but that's not the way Hyperbeat
So
works.
let me get this straight.
Anything,
This vault, like let's say I deposit USDT, right? The vault is farming in air quotes unit, right? But it's tied to my wallet, not to HyperBeat.
so technically, right? Like technically it's tied to the smart contract, which is undertaking that activity. But because you own the vault token, which represents your participation effectively in that smart contract, and everyone else knows what your share of the vault activity is, and hence you can be attributed whatever value comes out of that. So let's say the vault activity is like $100 and you have $10 of that. You can track that because you have $10 of the vault token. And hence if unit, let's say unit exists at like $100 of whatever, then 10 of those belong to you.
Great.
Yes.
He's basically saying that HyperBeat isn't utilizing their position to extract on their holders. They're still giving the value to their holders, which is pretty badass.
Yeah, I think that's underset. I think just in the ecosystem itself, like that this is
Are,
happening.
are
Agree,
we talking
agree.
about points?
Listen, this
Don't get me started.
No,
Don't get me
more so
started.
being anti-Mev, more so being anti-Mev.
no, we're definitely talking about points, but not because but I mean, Landy, not everybody has DPTSD and doesn't realize the points could mean jack all. So people are worried about it. So yes, we are in this moment in time.
I
Fucking
was
hate
gonna say
points.
I'd be more concerned
Yeah, and
about,
it
hey, I
like
want yield. I don't care about points. But
no, like
people like
exactly.
points.
Dude,
Yeah.
look, like the thing is, like the fundamental thing is like let's say something generates 100 points, right? People have in the past that are launching dApps charge a fee on that, but that doesn't belong to the dApp. That's just like an extraction. At least that's what I believe. So that should go to the users, right? Like there's no point to use other people's money and quote unquote like earn something and then take a fee on that. No, like that belongs to the people whose like money it is. And that's what we do at Hyperbeat. So like everything, points, airdrop, blah blah, whatever, like belongs to the user. The only thing that we represent in the quote unquote return is what the user can actually claim. So not points, like real yield. So if HBUSDT makes like $10 after the performance fees, which are also all on the UI, it's 20%, that belongs to the users. The 20% performance fee is only on the yield you generate. So if the vault makes money for you, then the vault also like generates some fees. So like that is quite important. Yes, we do use fees. We do charge fees on the things that we make for users, but they're aligned with you. So like if you make money, then we make money. If you don't make money, then we don't make money, obviously. And anything extra just belongs to you. We don't take any cut of that.
Okay, I'm
I,
done. I'm gonna have a blonde moment, and everybody's gonna laugh at me. But if you're only making, I don't know, 15% yield, or waffling between those two yields, then if you're paying 20% fees, are you ever making anything?
So it's like based on what you generate, not like a 20% flat. So if the vault makes like, let's say there's $100 and it makes 50%, right? So it makes $50. You're not charged like 20% of the vault deposit, which would be $20. You're charged 20% of what you generate. So $50 times by 0.2, so $10.
And I
like
haven't
this.
been really cognizant of fees and stuff like that. And you're clearly honest. Are you guys pretty competitive on the fee front? There we go.
Yeah, so the typical structure in DeFi, or even like the typical structure in like TradFi was like a 2 in 20, right? So 2% management fee. So if you deposit $100 for a year, they're gonna take $2 whether you make money or not. And then whatever money they make on your yield, they will charge a 20% fee on that. So we just charge performance fees basically. I think we need to update the UI because we did used to charge management fees, but over time we just realized like that's the old way of doing things. So we used to charge a 1% management fee and a 20% performance fee, but now we just charge a 20% performance fee on vaults like HBUSDT, and on the DN vaults we charge a 10% performance fee.
Yo, so I want to really just stress this point because, and I think Landy, you'll agree with me on this one. Like coming from like literally like the trading floors of Wall Street and the TradFi world, when you hear 2 in 20, that is when you see all these big hedge fund names. That's genuinely what they're taking, and that might not seem like crazy, but that 2% is coming off the top, and these are high net worth individuals. I say that to make it relative because now you have access to what these high net worth individuals had. And what Hitachi just said is fuck the 2%. We're only going to take a cut if you make money on these vaults, right? On these positions. So it's like, that's a really big deal. And I think people need to understand that. The simple thing here is what the high net worth and the ultra fucking rich dudes were doing on Wall Street and how they were making money. He's replicating that model minus the whole yeah, we're just gonna take it just for you to even come walk through the door type shit. And we're only gonna take if you guys actually if you make money. That's as simple. That's as simple. I feel like as I could put it. Hitachi, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's genuinely the way. Like, what I when I hear you say, every time I hear 2 and 20, I'm just like fucking. I just have like PTSD from the hedge funds, and it's just like, man, it just drives me nuts.
I'm sorry, but
Landy,
remember the
no,
high risk. The high risk was 5 and 25. If you came to me and you wanted high risk, we're going 5 and 25. Thank you.
yeah, and then you get the Stevie Cohens of Sat Capital that are literally paying for inside information, charging you 3 and 30. Yeah, exactly. But bro, I don't even want to hear. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Sorry, dummies. Guys, I know Coma came up, but real quick, Coma, before I come over to you, Hitachi, I just want to kind of break this down maybe a little bit more, right? Because this is a whole automated strategy, right? Like, this is automation when we're genuinely talking about it. Everything is happening, obviously, in the background. We're depositing money. You're handling the strategy via the automation and the smart contracts, right? So, by literally, like, if instead of just holding, if you're just holding coins in your wallet, right? And for most degens, that's probably not a thing because it burns in your wallet and you got to go spend it on dumbass JPEGs and stupid meme coins. But if you actually want to be smart, way this works is this automation is genuinely happening. So instead of holding the tokens in your wallet, you put them in a HyperBeat vault, and now, like, you have access to like all these fancy schmancy tools at your disposal. That, okay, you might not earn 1,000% like Hitachi was saying before, but like, this is a great strategy. If you do come into meme coin profits, rotate some, again, NFA, do whatever the hell you guys want, but rotate some of those profits into stuff like this that can steadily grow over time. Hitachi, before I go to Coma, I just want you to, like, can we talk about like the risk asset, like the risk assessment here? Like, talk about the different tranches and how having maybe some of the different tranches kind of makes this a lot easier and less risky for
Plus,
people.
there's other aspects to the protocol, I think.
Yeah, so like the risk level is defined in the vault that you deposit in because of the way that the vaults work. So the vaults work with you just deposit and you don't need to do anything, right? But if there's different risk tranches within the same vault, you would basically be assuming all of the risks, i.e., basically taking on the highest risk of the highest risk strategy. Because even if there's 10% on it, if it's high risk, then you would be assuming all of that on the sum of your capital effectively. So that's why like each vault has a different risk profile because the user interaction is just one deposit. So if you deposit into one vault, you're assuming the risk profile of that vault. Yeah, that's kind of the way that it's
So it's
structured
not it's not two
because
it's not two. So you pick the vault, and the vault is already, the risk is already baked in. It's just which level, like which vault are you picking that's going to have a different risk level.
yeah, I mean, I think like the inherent like message is that each of the vaults is designed in a way to be low risk already, but within that there's like different segmentations, right? So if you want more yield you need to go further out on the risk curve, and that's what the DN tokens exist for. So it is delta neutral. Your market exposure is limited, right? Like there is not no risk in that. There's not no risk in any vaults or anything that you do. There's always a risk, right? This includes like smart contract risk. The HBUSDT, for example, is providing liquidity into 4 or 5 different protocols. So you're only as secure as the most risky protocol that you're LPing into. But having said that, each of the protocols that we allocate into are audited, number one, by like professional auditors, all of that. That's just like a prerequisite. But then we also self audit as well on top. So before something can like qualify to actually receive liquidity from HBUSDT, it needs to be audited itself. So that's not only like smart contracts, that's also like the team, right? Like what is the team like? Like how do they behave? What's their track record? Did they raise, like who did they raise from? Like we go like really really in depth because it's also like our brand, right? Like people aren't LPing directly into, I don't know, so and so like lending protocol. They're LPing into HyperBeat, and HyperBeat assumes that risk. So that's why we audit everything. And yeah, that's how the risk profile is constructed.
I like that. I like, so have you guys ever been hacked? And look, I got to ask the question, right? Like, has there ever been? I know you guys have been audited and whatnot. Let me ask this before that: how long have you guys actually been live with this? And has there ever been any vulnerabilities that you guys have caught, or anything on that side?
Yeah, no, so thankfully we have never been hacked, and we have been live for, I would say, close to a year now, just under a year. Prior to HyperBeat, we were working at So like I've been in DeFi, working in DeFi for close to like 5, 6 years now. The prior protocol that I was at had like something like $2 billion in deposits. I won't disclose which one that is, but there's that. And yeah, with regards to HyperBeat, it's been live since I guess like December of 2024. But that was the validator. The first vault that we launched was in April of 2025, and now we're in November, so it's like yeah, just under a year.
He's being
Nice.
modest.
And
He's like an OG cyberpunk. He also used the right
everything is
stuff.
audited as well. Like literally every single smart contract we deploy is audited at least twice, most of the time 3 or 4 times, because that's important, right? Because yes, you can be like unhacked for years, but North Korea only needs to be right once, right?
That's facts. That is facts for sure. And don't worry, we'll get it out of you where you used to be. Not that it's maybe relevant, but I just take it as a personal challenge because, yeah, it just is what it is.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't know why I said that. Yeah, I was at Swell previously, but
oh,
I chose to leave to build Hyperbeat full time. So me and my co-founder gave up like millions of dollars in equity and took the risk on building Hyperbeat because we felt this was something like important. And yeah, like it was just too good of an opportunity to give up effectively. Yeah.
so
So we
yeah, no, no, please finish that thought. Sorry.
no, so yeah, we left. I think it was like around November last year. Um, and yeah, we started cooking on Hyperbeat. Hyperbeat as an idea really started in like June or July of 2024 as the validator, the testnet validator. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. Like it was a testnet validator, and we were just like, okay, fuck it, like no salary, give up everything, let's just build this thing. Yeah, but pretty happy so far.
Love that. Good shit. So, I mean, when we talk about use cases, right? Let's maybe pivot away from like being just Vault. You guys do a ton, like a ton of other stuff. Like, give us some of the other use cases and other things that people could be cooking up.
So we also operate an LST that's in partnership with EtherFi. So that's a Hype LST. So you deposit your
Wait, what's
Hype, it stakes
LST
that
stand
Hype.
for, darling?
Liquid staking
Thank
token.
you.
So basically you stake Hype, right? Normally you just stake it, but you don't get access to that value. So what a liquid staking token does is wrap the staking of your Hype into a token that you can then use in DeFi. So you can deposit it in Hyperlend, loop on it, etc. Like Lido staked ETH or EtherFi staked ETH, right? That, but for Hype and built in partnership with EtherFi. Soon we'll be rolling out like various different, and I know this is kind of a taboo word, but like restaking. So what that means is like you then take your wrapped staked token and you use it for additional use cases that give you extra yield. An example of this is like I've got my Hype LSD, but someone wants to use that for something, whatever it is, and they're willing to pay me for that. So you can do that, and when you do that, you get the yield from whatever they're willing to pay you for, as well as the staking yield.
So now,
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so like we have the liquid staking token for people that want to do that. We also have native staking. So we're the first validator to get a mainnet HyperLiquid node without any foundation delegation. So totally organic from the community. Roughly like 3.3 million Hype staked. And obviously we have the vaults, we have the money market, which is borrow and lend in partnership with Morpho.
Wait, hold on
And
one
soon
moment. So we just go and buy the liquid staking token essentially, or what does that look like? Is it a
you
swap?
can mint it.
A
So
mint
you
token.
can deposit hype
Okay.
and then it gives you B hype, which is basically a wrapper for your stake type.
See, I have
And
that,
then
and I didn't even know how I got it.
I
Go
know
on.
it.
Now you
Oh
can earn
nice.
money on that. No, that is what he's saying, right? So you get this liquid staking token, right? Once you stake your Hype, and then now somebody else wants to use that stake token, right? And be like, all right, I'll lend this out to you, no problem, and give me and you earn the yield that that person is willing to pay you as well. I think the question, Hitachi, is how many times, like, because when you say, like, when I just say this stuff out loud, I'm just like, am I just borrowing from Peter to pay Paul? Because like it sounds not that it's a Ponzi, but like I'm borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and then lending. Like there's a lot of moving parts out here. What do you say to the normie that is like, okay, so I had this hype, I staked it, getting this yield. Now I got this liquid token. Somebody wants to borrow it, I'm getting that yield. How many times over can you do this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is just that the question is best answered by how many times are like people willing to pay you for that, right? And each time there is like diminishing returns, etc. So you do it once, you stake your hype, you're securing the hyperliquid network. So the hyperliquid network is willing to pay you that, the staking rate, which is like 2.2%, I think. Now you can take that token and you can say to someone, hey, I've got one hype and you want to sell them insurance for something, right? So a great use case is actually the delta neutral vaults. Because funding rates can go negative, right? Let's say a bunch of people get liquidated on the short side, like longs are no longer paying shorts. It's like the other way around. So now shorts are actually paying money to be short. So the delta neutral vault in this case is paying people, right? So that's the risk. Now the vault is willing to basically pay people that have B hype to effectively compensate users for this negative yield. Because the negative yield stuff only ever happens for typically like a short moment, right? Like funding reversals are very short lived, but they do happen at times. So there's a risk there if you enter the vault. But now, if you have someone who's willing to lend their B hype to basically say, hey, look, if you deposit in this DN vault and funding rates turn negative, I will cover your loss for the period that it's negative. So that's good for the user depositing in the vault and the vault itself because it gives security to depositors. It's bad for the person that's lending B hype in the event that it happens, but the event that it happens is quite rare. So you're willing to pay them, basically, right? You're willing to pay the guys that are putting their B hype up. And that's the extra interest that the B hype depositors would earn. So yeah, that's how it works.
So
I
wait, a
like it.
really simple way too would be go mint the Beehive and then deposit it in a vault.
Yeah, exactly. So like the Beehive LST is like the LST, and then you can just deposit your Beehive into a vault that takes your LST and deposits it into, Hyperlend or whatever to generate extra yield. Another, actually, just going back to like the restaking thing, that's like insurance, right? So you're basically an insurance broker at that point, or providing the liquidity for the insurance provider. In the event that someone has a car accident, you're willing to like cover the repairs of that car accident. But because car accidents are rare, 90% of the time, arbitrary figure, like 90% of the time, there's no car accident. So 90% of the time, you're going to make the money from the insurance premium, but 10% you'll have to pay out. So that's kind of like the risk there. And yeah, with regards to Beehive, there's a separate vault which you can deposit into. But if you're actually restaking, you can even borrow against that collateral. I'm like sharing too much alpha about what's coming out,
Well,
but
actually, I was just gonna say because we're gonna end up having to respect your time, and we want to let other
Let them
people ask
go.
questions. But hold on a second. But I was hoping maybe in a couple weeks we could snag you again because I definitely don't. I definitely feel like we haven't gotten enough, and we want to let other people ask questions too.
yeah, for sure. No, always down to chat.
Let's go. You were
Dave.
saying that you were dishing out too much alpha, and then I'm going to go to Samara, but please finish the rest of the alpha, Hitachi. Oh, he's good. I like it. I like it.
Dave, I was just gonna say, you said the rob Peter to pay Paul, and all you did was describe traditional markets. Like literally, that's exactly what happens in traditional markets. And then this brings up when reinsurance vault and and the reinsurance vault. We need to extend these loops a little bit more. I like
I
the
see what you
far end
did
of the
there.
risk
The
curve.
reinsurance
Yeah.
ball. I like that. For those that don't know,
Yeah,
Hitachi is an
so I
agency.
think I think for us, like we'll just be doing the restaking, but if other people want to like build stuff on top, of course they're welcome to. We're sponsoring various hackathons for builders for these like types of use cases. But yeah, like HyperBeat is basically building the fundamental primitive, right? So like the Lego brick that forms the foundational layer, and then anyone else that wants to build on top of that, we're happy to enable them.
So a legitimate question. So essentially, the Beehive vaults are acting as the over collateralization, correct?
No. There are two different types of vault. This is where it gets complicated, and I'm sorry for that, but like that's just the way it is, right? The way to think about it is like you have a Roth IRA, and then you might have like a VanEck IRA, right? So each one of those two are doing like the same types of things, but generally they're doing it in a slightly different way. That's how you can think about it. So like the Beehive Vault is basically taking your Beehive and using it across DeFi in Pendle or Spectra or whatever, continuously optimizing, like handling all of the different calculations that need to happen to get you an extra yield. Then separately, what you can do is like you can just take your Beehive and you can look at the VanEck vault and you can say, okay, these are the risks. This is what I'll get. I'm willing to take this. And those are like the types of things for restaking. So a great example of this is HIP3. HIP3 is like an implementation by HyperLiquid, which allows anyone to deploy any types of markets for trading. Yeah, so what you can do is like take your Beehive and enable those people to actually deploy those markets. Because Hyperliquid says, okay, you can deploy any market you want, but you need to post some collateral, and that collateral needs to be in Hype. So that's what the Beehive LST enables, and that's what forms the opportunity in following my previous example, like the VanEck thing that you can deposit into. And so you as a user can either choose to deposit in the vault or you can choose to deposit in the HIP3 vault or like whatever, right? To service specific exchanges. Again, always defined by risk with a specific mandate.
So
I
I'll
need
be
to
able to
know.
use Beehive with Ventrals.
I can't I
I was
can't say
trying. I
too
was
much.
trying.
Yeah, let's go, Groot. I like where you're going, bro. We'll get it out of the Ventrals people if we don't get it out of Hitachi. Don't worry.
I mean, so like Ventures, we do have like the WVLP vault, right? So that works similar to the HLP vault, what it does for Hyperliquid. So you deposit your stables in there and then it market makes on Ventures Exchange when live. At the moment, by request of the Ventures team, the deposits in there obviously come through quote unquote like Ventures in some way, but they go into HBUSDT. So it's not like you're just sitting there waiting. You're actually earning a real yield on your assets as well.
Oh, we are going to pull every single word from this space. You have no idea how much I'm going to dissect this space when it's done. We're going to give the detailed of detailed breakdowns. Yeah, sorry. I'm not even going to ask this question, but Hitachi, just know I need to know who the Hyperliquid Illuminati is when we say Hyperliquid. I still don't know, but Karmic, go for it, and then we'll go to Samara, and then we'll kind of come back around, and you let us know if you have a few more minutes after that. Go for it, Karmic.
Hey everyone, thanks for hosting the space. Hi Atashi. So I had my first question was about like ventrals, so I guess you summarized it quite well. I encourage everyone to try the testnet. I've been trying it and it's quite super fun and mostly like very insightful regarding what we can do with HIP3 on HyperLiquid. Just my quick question is, okay, there is Liminal that is enabling like delta neutral trading. Obviously you are here on Spaces, so you are like the face of the project, which is very much a plus. What would be your competitive advantage regarding depositing on HyperBeat to do delta neutral trading versus on Liminal? Or like what are you doing better that they are not doing quite well, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question. Without commenting directly on Liminal, because like I know the team, I've known them pretty much since they launched. Like when they had 20K deposits after Hyperbeat launched, like I was like well aware of them. Not going to comment on the team. Like they're building something cool, whatever. But what I can say about Hyperbeat is that the yields that you see are after execution costs and slippage and everything like that. So we don't just show you the funding yield, you actually get yield that you can claim. So that's like point one. And the reason why we're able to do that is because we generate a higher yield, right? Because of various different things, such as the execution engine, such as the staking discount. So we buy hype and we stake hype, and we use protocol fees to do that, as well as our own funds. And that lets us execute the strategy better. But also, our execution engine is very proper, right? So if you have 10 mil running a delta neutral strategy, that's very different to having 100 and plus million running a delta neutral strategy. So you just need a better engine for that. And yeah, if you just compare like direct funding yield, then our figures would be a lot higher. But we choose not to just market that. We basically show the user what they can actually claim, not just like what the vault generated. And then if you try and withdraw, obviously you take on slippage costs, you take on execution costs, but there's a nuance here. So let's say I made $10 from funding, but I paid $50 in getting out of the strategy. I've actually lost $40, right? So on the front end, I could theoretically display, hey, you made $10, but by the time I've withdrawn, I've actually lost money. We choose not to do that. So we show you actually what you have made. And yeah, that's what I can say. I think the other point is that they're actually tokenized, right? So we ran the first delta neutral strategies on Hyperliquid using Hypercore, and they have actually been tokenized since before anyone else was running delta neutral strategies on Hyperliquid. So being first isn't really that important, but what it actually means is that we've been doing it for a long time and hence learned a lot of lessons, and those lessons help us to execute.
Great
Okay,
question,
thank
Karmic. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. Thank you very much, Atashi. So just for reference, on Delta Neutral for Hype, the total deposit are indeed like 10.2 million, and for Pump, it's like 1.04 million. So there's definitely room to grow. Just one last quick question, Atashi. Are you familiar with cat bonds or catastrophe bonds? Does that notion sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
What is this? This undertow talk over here. You guys better start spilling the beans. Karmic, why are you asking him if he knows about cat bonds? What's the deal?
So cat bonds is because basically I'm a cat, so I wanted to know if there were cat related bonds related to cats. And do your own research.
Yo, he asked the best alpha fucking question ever, and then literally trolls me with the follow up. Karmic, I just shot you a follow. You're the fucking man. I like it. Samara,
Yep.
what's good? Yeah, Samara, what's good, bro?
Hey, yo, Dave, Jim, Empress, Landy. Yeah, shout out to you guys, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying the HyperLiquid space. It's been a long time coming. Yeah, I was gonna ask about LSTs, but then the question has been answered about the volts and stuff. So yeah, man, I'm just here trying to, find ways of exploring HyperLiquid. I know we talked about it on AT Space a couple of times. So yeah, I'm just looking into it, HyperBeat, kind of seeing what's what with the protocol. And yeah, man, I'll explore. So yeah, thanks for hosting this space, man. Thank you very much. And yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to so this is the first time I'm seeing Groot. Yeah, man, shout out to you.
Let's go, Samara. Appreciate you, bro, for coming through. Hitachi, Samara's definitely someone you want to follow. My man has been in these trenches for a minute, and runs his own Telegram, the Ninja Squad, and yeah, they move. These boys know how to make some moves out here. Appreciate you coming through, Samara. Thank you. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I just want to say I think that a lot of this, for a lot of people listening, the DJs and whatnot, still out of our depth, doing our best. And like the founders that come up here, I hope that people are recognizing sometimes just investing in people. So for people who aren't aware in the ecosystem, Hitachi is well respected and well connected. So looking into Hyperbeat is something that you might want to do, especially if it's just dipping your toe into the ecosystem, and that seems like a relatively not safe NFA type of play, because you look for the people who are willing to be here and show up and build within it. So we do want to let, if Hitachi even has 5 more minutes, anybody else who wants to come up and ask a stupid question, that would be amazing. And otherwise we will try to get him on again in the near future.
Yeah, wait, Hitachi. Yeah, if anybody else, feel free to come up and request Hitachi real quick. Give me the skinny on Beehive, right? I see there's like as much like it pains me to say points program because I love points so much. Give us the skinny on Beehive, the LST, and kind of like what the deal is now. I see you have some dates here on September the 8th. What's going on there?
Yeah, so on the 8th, you will be able to mint Hype. What happens is you deposit Hype through Hyperliquid's core writer, it mints Hype. It mints Hype for you and stakes that Hype onto Hyperliquid. So I think unless you know what core writer is and like the lore of Hyperliquid, that probably doesn't mean very much to you, but it's a massive change to the way that things normally happen because of this like dual block architecture, right? So before you just had to have Hype on Hypercore and you could only stake it on Hypercore. Now you can do it on the EVM, but there's no security guarantees. If you use Core Writer, there are like it's all through smart contracts. So it's like a simple thing, but it matters particularly for like institutions, right? Like larger players, DeFi OGs, genuine security guarantees on chain. So that's what's happening on the 8th. The LSD could actually launch right now, but we wanted to be sort of fair to everyone because there's a 7-day unstaking queue. If you want to unstake, like you should have the choice. I guess like economically it could have been better for us, but yeah, at the end of the day, I think the thing that has brought us so far are the users, so we just always wanted to be fair to them. But yeah, that's what's happening on the 8th, and then I guess keep like a lookout for more updates. I do actually have to run. I'm a little bit late, but thank you very much for the time, and I really appreciate the questions as well. They've been quite insightful
Yeah, nobody came
and
back.
great
We
energy.
appreciate you.
Hitachi, you're the man, bro. And go figure, a founder with a fucking conscience. I think we might have found one, ladies and gents. Oh my God, people over money? No. Hitachi, you're the man. Really,
I
really
just
appreciate you
sent
coming through.
another message in that group chat. If we can get you back maybe in 3 weeks, let us know. We're further out. But again, we are just grateful for the time that you were able to spend. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. I think 3 weeks will be tough because I will be traveling a little bit, but
We'll
perhaps in
push it
like 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Not a problem. Same day, same time, 5 weeks out. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure. I'll confirm.
Damn, I am
No, yeah, I
down.
really appreciate it. Thank you. And I think like just a final note, look, I'm not saying we're perfect, right? There are definitely things to improve. And if you do have any feedback, because there are things to improve, please just like write us on Discord or send me like a DM and we'll try and get that sorted for you.
Dope, Hitachi.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, bro. Have a great day and yeah, enjoy whatever time away you're actually gonna spend. But good stuff, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks a lot. Bye.
yeah, for sure. Groot, successful DeFi for Dummies day one. What do you say? Woo woo.
I think that
He
we
said,
should start
woo woo.
scheduling these guys at an hour and a half. First hour for their expansive protocols, and then allowing the half hour for the more questions, is what I'm thinking.
I agree. Just locking down founders for 90 minutes. Usually I rope them in, I tell them 60, but I end up keeping them 90, and then I just kind of guilt them into staying the extra 30. But I'm with you. 90 minutes for some of these founders is wild, but yeah, I'm with you though. All right, good shit. I got to go get ready for reset. Excuse me, for, oh my God, for ATC. It feels like Monday out here. But guys, don't forget on Friday,
That's
we
weird because resets on Sunday.
no,
But
I know, I
anyway,
know, I know. I pulled a cool. Don't forget on Friday. On Friday, we got the
Look at me,
dot
I'm
IP.
Dave. I'm so rich, I don't even know what day it is.
I don't even know what the hell day. It's like Tuesday, bro. Yeah, I had a million more questions I really wanted to ask. Like some, bro, Landy, so coincidental. We were talking about Morpho earlier in the Hermetica space, and then we fucking what's it called? And then now like him coming from Swell, I'm like, man, I wanted to geek out with him a little bit on Morpho and kind of learn about because bro, he cooked a lot, and I'm gonna dissect this whole shit. By the way, like this, if there's a space that I'm gonna fully break down. Like this is gonna run through every single like breakdown prompt that I have, and I'll be able to put out a full on recap so you guys can hopefully understand it. And we're genuinely going to try and dumb it down because I think there's so much opportunity out here, and this is the smart way to fucking invest. We've never had options like this ever, ever, ever. At least I never had. Not being an accredited investor in the TradFi world, I never had a $250,000 a year income. I never owned my own home, right? So this is the opportunity now. This is what the epitome of DeFi is. But good shit. I appreciate everybody that came through.
he didn't even mention it. Like, I'm telling you, like, guy was a cyberpunk. He used to put out like publications under a pseudonym. Like, he was a badass.
I
He's
love
still
that.
a badass, but yeah.
Yeah, you could tell too, right? Because they got so much knowledge, and it's always like the chill ones that are like, "Yeah, we built this and we built that. We got 400 million in TVL, like no big deal, but we're gonna do something bigger." And I remember those guys when they had 20K, like mad, like though that humbleness is the shit. When Empress says like invest in people, that's a quality that like checks a massive fucking box. Good shit. Groot, thank you, man, for obviously helping set this up and amazing questions across the board. And yeah, Landy, Samara, Karmic, great stuff. You fucking cat. Love it. And yeah, guys,
Appreciate
AT
you.
season. Yeah, AT season 20 minutes. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, but I guess you know now. Baby, I took a half and she took the whole thing. Slow down. Dummies. Baby. took a trip, now
See
we
y'all in
live life
20,
like it's
bitches.